The first part is easy. Company name or product name, your author's name, of course, and the date. And the reason why you do that, just to keep track. And I would suggest this too. Remember that this is a plan. So this plan starts somewhere, but you have to relive it. You have to refresh it. So it's always good to put a date on there and come back and refresh it. You shouldn't let it sit for 5 years. And I can tell you, there's been companies that let plans sit for 5 years, and in the past, like in the marketing world, which was horrible to begin with. Now here we are in the digital world, the digital marketing world, and everything is changing every 30 days. So you may put a strategy and a plan together here in month one, but in month five, I don't know how effective that will be, because there are digital marketing channels that come and go. There are, ad regulations that come and go. There are social media platforms that come and go. There are website developments that come and go. So you have to make this a living, breathing strategy. And it also needs to be tied into your website as well, because your website needs to be refreshed. When we start talking about on-page SEO, search engine optimization, one of the things we have to have is a strong website SEO plan, a strong strategy, because everybody eventually will end up on your website. And if you don't have a strong website, it doesn't matter how much money you spend on marketing or how much great you are on social media. Now, you could just do everything from Instagram or Facebook. That's fine. I don't recommend that, but there are a lot of individuals, companies, and products and services that do that. But the website is what everyone looks at. So we have to make sure that that is refreshed and that's updated, that's optimized. And we'll talk more about that in further sessions. But the idea here is that we just don't we don't just create a plan and a strategy and let it sit. We have to come in and update it. Now, I'm not suggesting we change it all the time, because that could be harmful as well. But we have to have a balance of updating it and refreshing it. And then that's what this is all about. So the first section here is just basically setting up who we are as a product and a service. Okay, that's the idea here. So if we think about our product, this should be an easy section to fill out. And what we think about here is the detail of the product. So let's focus in on, let's say I'm going to use digital, no, you know what, I'll use website development. Okay, let's use website development. So if I use website development in here, I would come in here and write website development. So maybe I'll put in website, oops, what's going on here? Okay, I got to come in here and change the font. Okay, that's easy. Let's make this black. Okay, so we do website development, right? That's what we're going to market and promote. And it's going to be full e-commerce website for $9.99, right? That's my product. Okay, that's the top line. Then I'll come in here as well and I'll add some additional detail. We build out in 30 days. And we use, I happen to be an expert builder partner with Wix. We use the Wix platform, right? And it includes even an app, let's say a handheld app. It includes a chat box, and it also includes a CRM system and a video making system, okay? And it includes unlimited products, let's say. And it also includes a email marketing program. Okay, and then for me, I provide 1 hour of training. Okay, so that's more or less how I would write this up for product description. And what I'm trying to do there is be as detailed as I possibly can with the information, so that when someone sees this, we can start putting together a plan. And some of that information is what we'll use in the future to create creatives and things of that nature. Okay, so that's the product description. Now let's look at the features and benefits. And it starts with answering a question of what problem do you solve? So in here, I solve the problem of online, oops, again, I got to change the font. I thought that automatically changes, but I see it's not. Okay. Online commerce, right? At an affordable price, quick development, easy management, right? You can manage it yourself, easy manage, and no additional charges, okay? So the problem that we're solving here would be the problem that someone might have where they don't know how to manage a website and they don't want to pay additional commissions or additional fees of that nature. So that's sort of what we're solving for. And plus we're getting a site up quickly, right? Quickly, getting up quickly and easily, okay. So that's sort of how we're answering the problem. Now the feature and benefit problem part we'll put in here. Let's do a this as a feature. Could be a CRM because it has a built-in CRM system. So let's put that here as a feature. The benefit, of course, is easy contact with customers and list, right? Customers and list, okay. Oops, I gotta spell that right, and list. And then if that means you can email market to them. Perfect. Okay, so that's one feature and one benefit that it provides. Why is it not coming up? Here you go. Okay, another one. Let's just add just one more in here. Let's do a video making. That's a pretty cool feature that it has. So I'll use that one here and I'll put that into this one. And of course, video making is low cost, no cost videos for use on site and social, more or less, right? And then you sort of build it yourself. That's what one of the benefits are for this particular program. Okay, so I always suggest you come up with at least 5 and you can go through that list and build that. So now we have our features and products. So this first part is really separating you, your product, your service from everybody else, okay? Any questions on this part? All right, so we'll keep moving. Okay, so now let's look at product price and cost. So we need product price and cost in here because as we start developing a budget and a strategy, we'll need to make sure we know how much money we'll make, how much it costs us, what type of spend we can use to develop our budget. So we put that all in here. Now, what I do is I'll come in here and I use unit selling price. So we know our unit sell price is $9.99. Our cost of goods sold. So the definition of cost of goods sold is how much does it cost you to sell that particular product or service. So if you had a physical product, let's say, normally a cost of goods sold is about 50% of the retail price. So let's say you're selling shoes and you're selling shoes online for $20. More than likely those shoes cost you $10. So that's what you would put here. Sometimes it's $8, sometimes it's $12. It'll vary, but it shouldn't be more than 60% because you need at least 40% built into the product in order to be successful. That's going to be important there, okay? So in this particular case, my cost in putting together a website is much lower. It's going to be about 40%. So let's put in here $400. And it's $400 because of the labor hours and any additional costs I pay for getting things set up, you know, computer equipment, things of that nature. Then we have the next line here is SG&A, and I'm creating buckets just so we can capture all of our cost. So our SG&A in this case would be selling and general administrative costs. That's everything it costs you to produce and get the product out. So in this case, it's probably about 10% of the selling price. So in this case, I'm going to say $100. It's normally not more than 12%. It ranges from 5 to 12, but that could be maybe your salary. That could be maybe commissions you're paying to a salesperson, things of that nature, okay? The next line we put in is marketing. Now, I always like to start at a minimum of 10% of my revenue for marketing. I like to see it higher, but in this example, we'll just use 10%. So we're putting in $100 there, right? Remember, I'm using that $9.99, and I'm averaging up here again. Then the next bucket is total cost. So total cost could be your combination of fixed cost and variable cost. So if you have a storefront, you would put in your fixed cost. Your variable cost could be things like your electricity, maybe your insurance. It could be commissions if you're paying commissions, things of that nature. Now, this is not an accounting or finance class. So an accountant and a finance guy, or finance person, I should say, would probably freak out with this whole simple example. But what we're trying to do for this strategy is just understand what we're making, what it cost us to make that, and then how much we have left to keep in our pockets as a top line profit. And that's the number we're going to get to here in a minute. So our total cost, again, shouldn't be more than 10%. And again, that could vary from 10 to 20% depending upon the cost of operations. So if I subtract everything, and I'll just make this $1,000 to keep things simple, 1,000 minus 4 minus 5 minus 6 minus 7, our top line profit is $300. So at the end of the day, when I get done selling one website at $9.99, I should be able to keep $300 profit in top line profit, right? This is before taxes and everything else in my pocket. And I already allocated a 10% budget for marketing. So we're going to keep an eye on that number because we'll use it in our budget. Okay, now the next piece is creating the unique value proposition. And let's talk about that for a minute. Before I jump on that, I should have stopped here for a moment to ask about any questions here.
So going back to total cost,
yep.
That was, so I know it's recording and I didn't realize that till after, now that I asked the question. So for total cost, if we don't have a brick and mortar and it's something that we're doing, a product that we're making out of our home, what cost would we associate there?
Well, what about insurance, licensing? If you're doing your home-based businesses will have less total cost, but if you're doing tax, if you're taxing, if you do any type of tax rolls, you have to get licensing and permits with the city. You might have to get a home-based license with the city. If you're selling anything online, you need insurance, because if something happens with a product, then you don't want to be personally liable for that. So those all go into your total cost. That would be the item that you put there. Now, with that being said, everyone has a different type of home-based business. So maybe it's zero. It should never be zero, though, because you do have those expenses depending upon what level of business you want to have. But that's what you would put into total cost. And then your SG&A would be anything you pay someone, even yourself in that case, to do the work. Now, if you're the business owner, you probably have this as zero because you're the only one working there. So you're taking money out of the profit. I could tell you one quick story about that, though. Now, during the pandemic, I happen to know that if you didn't pay yourself in 2019, and some business owners don't, you couldn't qualify for the PPP loan because the PPP loan was based upon income disbursement. So a lot of business owners I know that don't pay themselves couldn't qualify for that. So that SG&A would be that part too. So That's just something.
Lessons learned.
Yeah, believe me, it's definitely a learning now, you know,
Yes.
although you listen to business, you know, when you start a business, you really don't want to pay yourself the first couple of years because you're using that money to grow the business. But anyway, interesting fun fact there when this PPP came out, and that was a true
Yeah.
fun fact. Okay, so
Thank you.
you're welcome. So let's talk about this unique value proposition. So remember, the unique value proposition is a statement. We're working to build a statement that will help us make our product better, better than anyone else, right? Describe our product better than anyone else. So it's something that we're going to use in future communications, because when we come up with keywords or phrases, that part of our unique value proposition could be used in our marketing. That's going to be an important segment. Okay, so let's go through this exercise, and I created just a very simple grid. There are a few ways of doing this. This is something that I created based on doing this type of plan for many years, and with many other students and business professionals, and it's just sort of a fill in the blank type thing. So in this particular case, we want to list 3 keywords or phrases that your product will do for the customer. So benefit. So in here, it would be, let's call it easy online commerce, right? Okay, that's one. The next one might be create business marketing plans or initiatives, let's say this could be. Okay, that's 2. Then the third one, let's say, what other benefits will they have? Well, they'll be able to build a business in short time, let's say. Okay, short time, and we'll maybe make that, I don't know, 100 days, let's say. That's something like that. We'll put a number in there so it's a little more exact. Okay, now let's identify your target market. So let's think about this for a second. Everybody in the world needs a website. Every company, every product, every service should have a website by now. Interestingly enough, that is not the truth. Believe it or not, there are still like 30% of businesses out there here in the US that do not have a website, which is just mind-boggling to me, but that's a fact. The Small Business Administration puts out these facts, and every year it's changing. It used to be 50% a few years ago. Obviously, it was 0 before all this started, but still to this day, there's about 30% of businesses that don't have a website. So could that be my target market? Yes, I think so. But can I do business throughout the whole United States? Yes, I probably could, because it's all digital and electronic. But then is it really, if the reality is there, do I want to cover the whole United States? No, not really. Well, let's think a little further. What are my specialties? So I built, in the past, I've built websites for food products. I built websites for real estate agents. I built websites for different service products. So is there a specialty? Am I better at one than the other? I would say yes. I would say food products. Okay. So I would identify my target market as food manufacturers or distributors, let's say, something like that, or food brands maybe. Okay, so that now I'm dialing it down a little bit, and I will say in the U.S. In the U.S. marketplace. So now it's a little more exact, and then I could probably drill down a little further and say I want to maybe start in Florida. But we're going to look at this here in a minute when we look at our segmentation. Okay, that's sort of the top line marketplace. Okay, now the next part of the UVP will be choosing 3 words or phrases that explain your product's different from the competition. So that was those features that we outlined. So we can use some of those features that we outlined above, or we can come up with new ones to keep growing our list. So I'm going to put in here like no commissions. All right, that's pretty cool. I'm also going to put in here free training, because that's pretty neat and that's different. And I'm also going to put in here, let's see, online marketing system. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Next thing I'm going to do is 3 words or phrases that explains why your product is unique. I'm going to say is you own it, no monthly fees. Okay, that's pretty unique when it comes to websites. I'm going to say you manage it, easy updates and changes I'm going to put here. Okay, that's another thing. And then actually I'll just make it easy changes because I want to use updates for something else. Easy changes. And the third thing that's pretty cool is automatic updates. So you don't have to go in there and update things on a regular basis because it automatically will update for you. And that's pretty phenomenal. Okay, so now I've got all that stuff filled out. Now I'm going to sort of fill in the blanks here. So let's look at name a product. So this is going to be, I'll fill this out. I'll put a $9.99. Let's do this. $9.99. Oh, this is not taken away. I wanted it to. Wix website by your company. And this is my company here. Okay. And then I'll get rid of all this because I want to build a statement. And what will it do? So in this particular case, I want to do A1 or A2 or A3. So if I go back in here, it's going to create a business marketing initiative and build the business in short time. So let's use this first. I'll come in here and just pull this and I'll put this over here. And then I'll take this piece over here and I'm going to put that down here as well. Okay, so perfect. Now we'll get there. And now we could go in here and do what the target is. So the target will be food brands. Let's use that. I'll come in here and change that. And we'll do food brand manufacturers in here. It's probably best to really cut and paste this, but I'm just trying to fill it out as we go along. Food brands because of, now I'm looking for C1 because of online marketing and no commissions. So I'll put that in here like this, and I'm going to clean this off here in a minute. Online marketing and no commissions. And you see it's starting to fill out already. No commissions. Okay, and then the next one is it provides easy changes with no, let's see, easy changes managed by you. Let's reword it that way. And let's come back in here. Oops, I'm getting out of my zone here. For the blank consumer. So now I need a product positioning. So the product positioning was over here. So you could either pick economically priced, luxury price, high quality, or new tech. So let's, obviously this is a low price product. So let's put economically priced here. And now that's the last part of the statement. I'm going to clean this up here in a minute. Okay. So now if I come in here and I get rid of all this stuff, I'm going to clean up the statement. Perfect. Perfect. And get rid of this. Perfect. So now I have my statement. Let's go in here and just clean it up so it's neat. And let's do a 12 font. And now we can come in here and read the statement out loud. So the basic statement is, oops, get back here. Let's go in here and put a $9.99 website. We want proper grammar. Okay, a $9.99 Wix website by ecanlinks.com will create business marketing initiatives. Let's go in here. I'll get a wordsmith it a little bit. Create business marketing initiatives and build a business in a short time for food brands, or I can do food brands or food products here, right? Because it has, I'm going to come in here and take that out, and online marketing. I'll add program in here, and then no commission fees, right? So we're just adding some words to make it flow better, and no commission fees. That makes the website run smoothly, and I'm wordsmithing in here, and provides easy changes managed by you for the economically priced consumer. Okay, so that's sort of like a worksheet of how to come up with that. You have to wordsmith it a little bit. You have to actually, make sure that it sounds right. And you could use all these different keywords to change things. So if you don't like the way that sounds, you could come out and design another one, and then design another one, but eventually land on one. So that's sort of how you would make the unique value proposition. And you see, it sounds okay the way it reads right now, but maybe I want to change it up in the future. Okay, any questions on that piece there?
So when you change it up, would you still like, what would you change it up to? Would it be something really short, or would it be like, because I was reading through, and like, for instance, like M&M's has, melt in your mouth, out of your hand. Do you change it to eventually get something that short, or
okay?
What would, yeah.
Okay, yeah, yes. So that's good. That's a good point. So there's several different things out there. Melt in your mouth, not in your hands by M&M's. That's sort of their brand slogan, or what they're saying. So this is not a slogan. This is more of a description of what you do and why you do it and how you do it, type of thing, right? So it's almost let's call it an elevator pitch, right? So when I read it, it's okay, what do you do? Well, I provide a $9.99 Wix website that creates business marketing initiatives and builds a business in a short time for food brands and food products. And because it has like an online marketing program with no commission fees, and it really helps make the website run smoothly and provides easy changes that could be managed by you and your team at a very economically priced.
I love that. Thank
right?
you. That when you said elevator pitch, like a light went off.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you
that's
so much. Yeah.
that's sort of how you would think of this. Now, let's talk about that slogan for a second. So what's my slogan? $9.99 websites all the time, something like that, right? You come up with an idea like that. So you have to think about that. But when I teach marketing, traditional marketing and promotions and stuff like that, this brainstorming session is part of that process. You put a bunch of words on the board, features and benefits. You just brainstorm all these words, and then you start circling the words and building these short sentences to come up with something that makes sense. But you have to start somewhere. Okay. All right. So that's the UVP. Now, let's move into the next part, which is the SWOT analysis. So if you remember, the SWOT analysis has to have a good internal understanding of who you are and why you exist. And it's really important to understand the SWOT, because you need to know what the competition is. Now, the question is, earlier was, how do I know what the competition is doing? I mean, it's hard to get that. The answer is yes, that is true. That's one of the most difficult parts here. The other most difficult part, there's two difficult parts here, is being honest with yourself when you do a review of who you are, to make sure that you're understanding your strengths and your weaknesses. And the reason why I like this, and the reason why I think this is really important when you're putting together a strategy, is because if you map it out, you can see on a piece of paper where you're strong and where the competition is strong. So I'm going to just make this all on one page here. So let me go here and do it this way so we can see the whole thing on one page. So basically what I'm trying to do is understand what my strengths and weaknesses are and what my opportunities and threats are. So let's talk about that definition here for a minute. A strength and weakness is internal. So that's something that's strong to you or weak to you. The opportunity and the threat is external. So that's something that would happen outside of you, out of your control, so to speak. That's how you separate the difference. So what does that look like? A strength for me might be my expertise, right? In building a website, let's say, expertise here. I gotta spell it right. Another strength might be is I know marketing well, so I can really create a good website that delivers results. Another strength of me might be is I have experience. Okay, and now I'm putting this down here. I'm using one words. You can use sentences here as well. Okay, let's think about competitor number one, and I'll do two competitors here. Their strength, and if I bench myself up against someone who builds websites in the food industry, what would I do? Well, I would probably go on Google and check the competitors out there and Google and put in websites for food products or websites for food brands, things of that nature, and see which ones come up. And then when they come up, I can go to their website and start evaluating what strengths and what weaknesses they have. And you can look at their website and see that by what they're doing, maybe, and then you can also go, by the way, to their social media pages to do some searching there. You can check things out over there. You might be able to link to some of the websites that they already built. I do that often. If a new client comes to me, I say, okay, maybe they need some updates or changes to the website. I go on their existing website to see what it looks like, and then I go to who, normally the person, the company that builds it, it's there at the bottom in the footer. I'll go and track that to see what that company does and learn a little bit more about them. So I get some competitive intel. I also go on Facebook and I take a look at things. So in this case, I investigated who my top competitor might be in building websites for food and brand companies. And the one that I see that's out there is they have a large team. Okay, so they're a big company. Another one that I see is that their strength is they deal with top brands, so they're like big brands already. And the third one that I see is that they also have several offices. Okay, so they're in several locations. Let's put that down as a strength. All right. So now I see my strength versus their strength. And now I go to weaknesses. My weakness is that I can only build on 3 platforms. Me and my team can only build on 3 platforms. Another weakness is that I have a small team. Another weakness is that I'm in only one location, right? Okay. So that could be a weakness for them, because they have a large team. Maybe they have it takes them time to build, so they can't get a build out quickly. They also have high cost, right? It's a high cost because they have a large team. They got high expenses. They got to pay for everything, and they also let's say have a scheduling issue. They can't schedule things in a timely manner. So those are the weaknesses that they have. Now I go to opportunities. So my opportunity is I can go international. I might not have to stay just in the US. I could expand outside of food, right? Go outside of food, expand outside of food. Let's say expand from food there. I can also partner with someone because I'm a smaller boutique company, so I can partner with somebody. Their opportunity is that they have prestige, okay, and they can get prestige type accounts, that type of stuff there. Another opportunity is that they could go global as well quickly. And another opportunity that they could do is they can do, they could do type of external marketing, let's say. All right, threats. Threats for me is that because I am a boutique agency, I have limited resources, right? Let's call that limited resources. limited resource. And I'll put that in here like that. Okay, now another one. Another threat for me is, the economy, right? Because if the economy is bad, then I can't afford to do things because I am a boutique agency, so my costs are controlled, but I don't have big funding. I don't have a lot of funds for that type of stuff. And then another threat could be, I don't have a large customer base, so I'll put down small base. All right. And now for them, a threat for them might be that we have smaller agencies like me going after their business. Another threat for them might be more in-house websites are being built. And another threat for them might be easy sites like the ones that I sell, right? You don't need coders and stuff. Okay. So now I developed the SWOT analysis, and what you're looking at here is my company, you or your company or your product or service versus the competitor. So in this particular case, I researched who my 3 competitors are, and I focused in on 1, 2, or 3 of them. And in this case, now I have my strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and I use 3 points for each. So now I can see their threat is a smaller boutique firm, and my strength is, I didn't put it there, but my strength is obviously, or my opportunity and my strength is that I am a smaller boutique firm. So now I know I can go after that weakness or that threat of them. Their strength is large team, and my weakness is small team. So they could outbid me because they have the manpower to do it. They also have more locations versus my weakness of 1 location. So they're more, they're more easy to get to. They're more expanded across the globe, let's say. My opportunity would include international. Their opportunity would be prestige. So for me, that means, okay, I'll let them have the prestige brands. I'll go after the small micro brands, and there's a lot of them out there. And I might even be able to do it internationally because I'm low cost, small boutique, and I'm effective. I really know I can get that business. So you see, once you lay this out, you could start coming up with a plan and a strategy. Okay, that is the SWOT analysis. Any questions there? All right, let's move on.
I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
So how do you, or any tips that you might have for finding a competitor's weakness and opportunities?
Well, you have to, there's no quick answer there. You have to just research it. So what business are you, what are you making? What business are you in?
So I'm not specifically making something, but I have a friend who is, so I'm helping her, and she makes a scalp treatment, like a hair treatment. Yeah.
Right. You mentioned that last time. Okay, good. Perfect. Mm-hmm. So, I happen to be in the hair industry for a number of years. In fact, I helped an Italian hair replacement product, or hair rejuvenation. Replacement's not the right word. You need to be FDA approved for that, but a hair rejuvenation product in the US. So to do the research, you just need to go in there and put in whatever that product is into Google, and you'll see what's going on. And that's why you could use the trends and things of that nature. So you just have to get in and start researching it. Research is going to take you a couple of hours, and then you find a couple of competitors that would be tied into your price. So if I'm at $9.99 in my pricing, obviously I have to think about who's out there around that price point and understand what their positioning is. So it's just a matter of researching it and coming up with some ideas.
Thank you. Yes. And the Google Trends was really, I didn't really understand what like 100 meant, but what I did is, because she's veteran owned and Black owned. And so I just kind of, put myself in that mindset and try to see what they would look for. And I was able to find, now looking at it, I'm like, okay, it makes sense. But yeah, the Google Trends I didn't 100% understand that. So it did kind of help, but yeah.
Yeah, we're going to look at that. Yeah, we're definitely going to look at that as well here too now. So, all right. So the next section is our action steps to eliminate the weaknesses and threats. I talked through this just a moment ago, but you want to put in here what you can do if you have this weakness. So I have a weakness of I can only build on 3 platforms. Well, to fix that, I want to put in here, learn how to build on another platform, right? Let's improve that weakness. Let's get better at it. If I know my strength is, in this particular case, my strength is my experience. Well, to help accelerate that, I need to become what they call a subject matter expert and get the word out. Okay, so people know what I'm doing. And a threat for me in this particular case would be I have limited resources. So maybe what I want to do is work on expanding resources. Okay, and that's sort of how you would go through this entire section and fill it out. So once you do that, now you at least have an action plan of how to handle the SWOT and compete. Now let's look at the competitive social media and online analysis. So here we're doing the same thing. Well, if you have a website, you're putting your website down here as well. So in this particular case, my website is eknlinks.com, and maybe their website could be, and I don't know because I haven't picked a competitor yet, but for this example, let's say it's food website builder or something like that as an example, okay? Once I name it, foodwebsites.com, okay. Then I would check out how many Facebook fans they have, 56 versus 1250 or 1260. How many YouTube subscribers? I have about 45. Maybe they have only about 35. That's good. That means I'm stronger than them. How many Instagram followers? And let's say you're about that way. And other measures. What else can I measure? Well, I could say maybe clients in there. How many clients? I have about 73, 75. They might have like 155 or 156. So I'm just using that for information, and I'm collecting data on my number one competitor that I feel like I'm head to head with. So now I have some data there. Now let's look at that search trend over time interest. And to do this, I want to jump into Google Trends. So let me reassign my screen here. Give me a minute as I get this set up. Okay, perfect. So what we're trying to do when we use Google Trends is just see what the trends are in our industry, in the search words and things of that nature. So the first thing you want to do is put in your topic or search word here. So I'm going to do websites. Let's do websites. And I want to be specific here, maybe websites, and I'll do development, okay? Let's come in here and do that. And I see what they have here. I'll keep going, website development. And now I hit enter, and it'll give me what type of searches are happening for website development. So to read this, 100 means the index is high. So that means it's at its peak. So if I look at this on October 6th through the 12th of 2019, everybody was looking for website development. However, the week before, only a little more than half results there. So as I look at this, I can see the different peak periods. Now let me go over here to, this is March, okay? So here's the beginning of COVID, let's say, just before then, the first week when we really knew COVID was coming. So you can see basically this went down and then it went back up because we were stuck and maybe businesses were looking for more opportunities. And you can see how it steadily declined and now it's going back up to its peak. So that's the 12 months of website development. I could also come in here and put, let's see, mobile website. Let's go in here and do that again. So now I'm seeing mobile website development. Let's see if somebody searched for that. And I'll go in here and put that in. And now I see the two differences. So regular website development is stronger. Mobile website development was a little weaker. And I can come in here and see the regions where it's stronger. In Oregon, everybody looked for mobile website development. I have no idea what was going on there. So if I specialized in mobile websites, that would be the state I would focus in on right away. So let's say I want to go to focus in only on Florida. And I hit Florida, and now I'll get more detail of what's happening in Florida. So there's really not a lot of interest over time here. There's not enough data for me to get information. It goes up and down. So maybe what I'll do is let's go to 5 years, see if anything changes there. Okay, nothing there as well. So it doesn't really help me just to do Florida. So that's not good. So we need to go back to the US in here. So let's go back to the US, and now we see what the 5-year trend will look like for the US. Okay. Let's see, why is it not moving? Strange, it doesn't want to take the US. All right, there it goes. So now we can see what the 5-year trend is for the past 5 years. I can also come in here and check what are they looking for in terms of news? How is news affecting things? And I can see the interest of time. Very odd that it only has one here. So I don't think I'm getting the data I need because this doesn't really look right. So I would have to say, let's look at Google Shopping. Anything there? Probably not. Nothing at all. So that's how you would really use these trends. So one other way to use these trends would be to put in keywords. So let's say in this particular case, I want to look up a keyword of websites for food products. Let's see if anything comes up here. Maybe not, but let's see. Nothing at all. All right. So let's do another one. Let's do websites under $1,000. Anything there? Well, under 100. Let's do 1,000. Nothing there as well. Okay. Nothing at all. If I just go to websites, or if I go to websites, or let's say self-managed websites, maybe there's a word there I can use. And I'm just playing around, trying to get information on what's out there in the market and trying to see what's coming on. I don't know why everything is coming up 0. It's a little odd, in my opinion. Maybe because it's all 5 years. Let's see. No, nothing. So you just have to keep playing with it, you know. And as an example, if I was selling hair products and I put that in here, you can see the search term of hair products. If I wanted to put in scalp products, I'll come in here and do scalp products. And I see the search terms here, and it's very up and down. That's really strange how it looks like that, but you can see the heavy states that you could focus in as well and tie into what you're trying to do. I can look at the trend, see what's happening in the past 7 days, if anything's changing, look at the time. So what I'm trying to do here is just get trends for my plan so I can understand what's happening in the marketplace. So come in here and fill out. You need to pick what your search, what your industry is, what your product search are, and then put in some information so you see what's happening in the industry. I would also put in keywords and try to get keywords in here as well, because the keywords will also help you develop strategy for the future, okay? That's the trend analysis. You have to always do the research, and that's the most important part here. Let's talk about the target market and the segmentation for a moment. So in here, we said that we're focusing on food product manufacturers or brands, okay? So that's sort of the top of the segment. So in this particular case, when I look at the segmentation, I'll come in here and I'll put food product in here, or brands. Oops. Okay, that's the top. Now, do I want to segment that down into other food products? I say yes. Over here, I want to put what I call beverages. All right, so that's like things that we drink, obviously. And over here, I want to put snacks, because I focus in on snacks. Now, for segment number one, what I want to try to do over here is create a persona. So maybe the company beverages that I want to work on are, let's say it's a refrigerated beverage here. If I do something like that, refrigerated, and then I want to come up with the individual, not the company, but the individual that might be buying products or selling products for refrigerated beverages. That's how I build the persona. We'll look at that here in a minute. The next section for snacks, I want to do maybe salty snacks over here. And then there's also sweet snacks, okay? And then again, I want to create a persona for that person. So now what I'm doing, because this is a business to business type opportunity, not a business to consumer type opportunity, my personas are going to be more corporate, and they're going to be more focused on the person who does the marketing or who owns the company in either refrigerated beverages or salty snacks. And that's how I would build my personas. So I'll focus in on that now. Let's focus in on the persona that buys salty snacks, and we'll try to build a persona there. Any questions on the segmentation tree and the total segment market? Okay, so let's spend a couple minutes here talking about personas. In this particular case, it's a business to business sale. So it's a little more complicated than doing a consumer sale, because in the consumer side, you can really come up with identities and demographics and likes and dislikes, things of that nature, and build out the persona. So let's try this for a business to business sale to see what we come up with. The name of the persona has to go last, because I don't know what I'm calling this person yet. Background, I'm going to say the background is has worked with salty snacks for 10 years, right? Okay, he was a salesperson, he was a marketing person, and now he is the owner of a company. That's sort of the background of him. All right, let's get that spelled right here. Okay. What is the demographics? Well, this particular individual is a male, and he's 55 years old, and he's married. He has 3 kids. He's college educated. He is a professional, and he's in trade associations and things of that nature. Okay, so now I have the demographics. Now, what is his goals? Now, we're thinking about his goals as an owner of the company that buys salty snacks. So his goal is to create a strong national brand. Okay, that's sort of his goals, and to be able to sell business, maybe, let's say, in 10 years. How about that? We'll put that down as a goal too. All right. Now let's talk about his challenges. Well, his challenges are online marketing is one of them, right? Online marketing is a challenge for him. Getting new consumers is another challenge for him. Getting into retail, into the retail stores, that's another challenge for him. So now I've got the challenges here as well. His common objections, well, he doesn't agree with high cost marketing, and he doesn't believe in social media, right? That could be some of the objections that he has. And what is his digital media interaction? Well, in this particular case, he has no brand media social, okay, but he's on LinkedIn and he has a Facebook account. Let's put that there because we're building up this profile here. Okay, what are his hobbies and interests? Well, let's be stereotypical. He likes golf. He's like me. He likes baseball. He likes taking vacations. And we're putting all that information in here. Okay, and now we can put an image. So now we're building a picture of who your persona is. I think this guy is going to be called, what do you think, Jeff? You think this is a Jeff? I'm going to call him Jeff. All right. So now over here, we can write a paragraph. And what does that look like? Well, here's how that would go. Let me just look at everything here and see how I can come up with the paragraph for the persona. So Jeff is the owner of Salty Snack Company. He's worked in the business for 10 years at different positions in sales and marketing. He's college educated. He's professional. He's involved in trade associations with 3 children. And his goal is to become a national brand and be able to get out of the business and sell it in 10 years. He often has difficulties with online marketing and getting new consumers that way. And also that means he's having a hard time getting into retail. He doesn't agree with the high cost of marketing, doesn't see the value there. And he doesn't really believe in social media. This should be a negative here, actually. He also has no brand social media channels at all, although personally he's on LinkedIn and Facebook. And when he's not running the business, he likes to golf, follow baseball, and take vacations with his family. So that's Jeff, okay? So what you need to do is build the persona so you know who that individual is, so you can start marketing to that individual and creating some understandings of who they are. Any questions on building that persona?
So when it involves business to to a customer, because this is B2B,
right?
Would we get when it comes to the paragraph, would we get more detailed, like what their day-to-day life is like? Because I know it said something in the bottom about like what their life is.
Yes, how they live their life and apply the key characteristics. So that would be going here. Yes. And so let's talk about this for a second. So in this scenario, in the B2B scenario, how would I get some of this information? Well, I would first go on LinkedIn, and that's how I normally do it because it's B2B, LinkedIn's a great platform there, or go on the company's website to read his bio and then learn a little bit more about him, do again a Google search and learn more about him and try to get an understanding of who he is and what he does. And you build out the profile. So you would do the same thing with consumers. And the way you would do that is you could look at your competition, because now we've done a good competitive analysis. So if your competition, if you identified the right competition, their customer base could be very similar to your customer base. So you can actually go on their social media pages to see what is their fan base, and what's great about that, if you go to Facebook, you can look at all those posts that are liked, all those comments, and click on that individual that made the comment. Now, this is a lot of work, but this is how you can get some good intel on a competitive personas. And then you could go to their Facebook page and read all about them to see, oh, okay, Jill in Wisconsin follows my competitor, and looks like she looks like she's married. Her status is married. She looks like she has kids. Looks like she loves to fish. Looks like she loves to take vacations. You start making some notes. Then look at Francis in San Francisco. Oh, look, she's married with kids too. She also likes to take vacations, but she also enjoys a good bottle of wine. Why do you know that? Because you looked at her Facebook page, and we put everything out there so we can see all this stuff. So now you can start building a profile based on what your competitive consumers look like, or you can come up with ideas on your own. But you have to do some intel, because now you have this persona that you can market to. That's the idea.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. So now the next part of this is what we call the customer journey. And we'll discuss this a little more in detail, but if you remember, the customer journey starts with awareness, and then it moves into consideration, and then conversion, and then you have the retention, and then of course that brand championship. So here what you're trying to do is think through how you would communicate with each with the consumer, that persona, through each part of this journey. So let's talk about my persona here for a second, Jeff. So Jeff needs to become aware of me. So how would I start getting him aware of who I am? Well, I want to, if he's on LinkedIn, maybe I want to try to friend him or follow him on LinkedIn. Or maybe I want to try to connect with him through the trade associations or something like that. But I want him to start becoming aware of who I am, maybe get his email and send him an email and start that whole process here. Now for consideration, as we move through that phase, now that I have his contact and we're connected, maybe I'll send him, I'll flip him some information about the successes that I had with other food products and building out their websites and building them into a brand or bringing them into retail. Maybe I'm sharing a case study with him, or I'm actually calling him on the phone if I'm not doing it digitally. But I'm getting that awareness into consideration. Perhaps there's a blog that he's reading, something along those lines. And then for conversion, now that I have him in the funnel, I'm sending him an offer. Maybe I'll put together a digital plan or a marketing strategy, a digital marketing strategy. Say, hey, Jeff, I know it's not really your thing, but take a look at this plan, and here's the offer. I can build this website out for you for $9.99 and manage your social media for 6 months for $200 a month. And maybe he says, oh, that's a good plan, Ken. Let's go ahead and do that. And now the next part is retention. So to get him retained, to keep him part of it, I might offer him updates or periodic changes or different types of services, or send him more information about other successes I'm having somewhere else. Send him a video perhaps of something I'm doing, get him more involved in my process. And then finally, the brand champion part is, I want him to give me reviews and testimonials and come to my webinars that I do for other people and be an expert speaker, and to tell other people in the industry about me, maybe blog about me, or put a post on about me on LinkedIn, or tell me about something about me in the trade associations. So that's the type of communication I want to have. And I sort of plan this out for each persona, and I write that down. Now, this could change, but you need to have some type of process started. So when you go out to get the consumer, you have them and you can pull them through the funnel. Any questions on that section? Okay, so the next part of this is identifying your channels and your messaging. So we created personas already, and we created two. And we could say, in this particular case, we know our persona was Jeff. And over here, the digital channel we know that he's in is LinkedIn. And he's also in Facebook, we said, right? Now, what is the messaging? Well, if we go back and look at what Jeff's challenges were, I see here he doesn't have any branding on social media. He also doesn't agree with high cost of marketing, and he doesn't believe in social media, and he has some problems in getting new customers and getting into retail. Okay, so let me take some of that information and create a possible message for Jeff. So what I would do here is come up with something and put maybe together like something like that. Would you believe that we helped brand X get 100 customers? Oops, I got to spell right here. 100 customers on Instagram for only $10, maybe something like that. come up with some type of messaging. And what we're trying to do is attract his attention so that we can get into that. We'll talk about a process called AIDA, which stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. So now I'm creating messaging, and the way you would roll this out is maybe you'll have different sets of messages that would go out at different times during that consumer journey. But I want to start communicating with him and try to come up with the good messaging that he'll find attractive, that will say, oh yeah, let me look into this a little more, that type of thing. Everybody likes the words profit, making money, sale, free, all those engaging words, because we're trying to get his attention or get your persona's attention through an emotional hook, right? That's going to be important. So here is where you identify your channels and you come up with your messaging. Now, keep in mind, your messaging will be fluid. It will change, but this is a plan that we're starting with. So as we learn and as we get better, that messaging evolves. Any questions on that piece?
I'm curious. So when we do back to business to customer, do we offer them at that point because again, going back to the flaky skin or the scalp, sorry, I had put in my messaging like, winter is beautiful, but really dries out my scalp. And then I was going to put like a graphic of somebody, before and after picture or an infographic.
Yep.
And then do I do a call to action at that point, or would it just be just the caption?
I would say in the messaging, you have some call to action, right? Because what's your next step? Why are you sending a message to them? What do you want them to do once they see it?
Gotcha. Yeah, I want them to go on the website and buy something. So
right, and
okay.
maybe if it's not, it's like it's a relationship building concept, right? I mean, you know how that works, where you don't just start off with being best buddies in the beginning. You got to get to know each other a little bit. And they want to get to know you. So maybe you're just sending them a before and after picture and learn more, that type of thing. And then the next one you might want to put out is, get our free 3 steps ebook on how to protect your hair in the winter and how to prevent dry scalp in the winter. And you come up with this content and you're sending it. And then at some point in time, that awareness turns more into interest. And then maybe your call to action says, okay, buy now or get a discount or something along those lines. So you're sort of taking through the process. There's nothing wrong with sending them a discount immediately. Why not start there too? But they might just reject it because they don't know more about you, right? So you have to sort of bring them through the process as well.
Right, because my fear in doing a call to action was sounding too salesy and having them, run in the other direction and say, "Oh no, she's just trying to sell me something." And
yeah,
so kind of
you might want to do like all these 3 ladies have healthy scalp in the winters. Find out why, and then you take them to an information page. And you keep that information page on the website and they learn a little bit more about it.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, so now let's get to the final couple pieces of this digital marketing plan. So now let's identify our goals. So if we're picking a channel, let's say in this particular case, I'm using LinkedIn and I'm staying with my scenario here. LinkedIn, my persona's name was Jeff, and I'm going to send him a message. My first goal is for him to engage with our site and maybe get an email, let's say. Okay. Now, remember that a persona is not just one person, but a persona is going to be a group of like individuals. So that might be 100 individuals. It might be 1,000 individuals. It'll be a smaller subsegment of your total target market. So I'm lumping in all individuals. I'm grouping them under the persona of Jeff. Let's say in total, that's 100 people, 100 buyers, or 100 brand owners. So what I want them to do is engage with the site and get an email. So what I would like to do is get 10% of those hundreds to sign up. Okay. My second goal, the follow-up goal, would be to get 10% of the signups, maybe to subscribe to my channel or something like that, subscribe to my video channel, something of those natures. So that could be a goal 2 or a backup goal. So I'm really focusing in on 2 different things. I'm taking them to a sign up page to get their email, but on that sign up page there's also my YouTube video, and maybe I want them to go and subscribe to my YouTube video because it's an informational video about branding your products, branding your food products on social media and websites and things like that. So that'll be my 2 goals, and I'm looking to measure that. Now, remember, this is at the beginning of my journey, so that's why it's sort of getting engagement. Now, if this was somewhere else in my journey, I probably want to get a sale or 2 here. So maybe I want to do 10% sales, something like that, and put a dollar sign into it. So maybe it's going to be, you know, $10,000 in 2 months. And now I have a very quantifiable KPI, because the KPI should be what we call SMART, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So here it's a specific: engage with my site, get an email, get 10% of my total group, my persona group, to convert to sales, which generates $10,000 of revenue in 2 months. So that's how I would track that. And that's sort of how we would see if we're successful with our campaign or not. And that's that KPI there. Okay, now the very last part of this is the revenue and marketing spend. So let's estimate our revenue. If we know that our selling price was, again, I'm going to put $9.99 here, and I want to sell 10 units. I'm just going to keep simple math. My total revenue is $9.99.99, or $9.999, like that. And my marketing spend, if you remember, what was our dollar amount that we were spending? We were spending 10% of our revenue from our estimation up above. So my marketing spend is $9.99, more or less. And that's how you would roll out that math. Okay. So I know I have $999 to spend on my budget for marketing. So in this particular case, if I'm doing ads on LinkedIn and I'm going to do it for 1 month, and my budget for that is going to be a portion of $999. Let's make it $500. And my goal would be to get conversion 10%, and my KPI would be my dollar sign, which would be $10,000, right? Whoops, that's not coming in here. Let's make that smaller. Okay, so that's one. So now I spent $500 of my $9.99 budget. Over here, I also want to do Facebook ads maybe, and I'll do that again for 1 month. And now I'll spend the rest of it at $4.99, and my conversion over here will be a little less because it's not as professional. So in here, maybe my conversion is 5%, and I'm generating over here just $5,000, let's say, right? Okay, so now that's sort of the layout of the budget. And our next steps when we start developing our campaign will be looking at, well, is this spend a good return on investment? What is our cost per acquisition? How much does it cost us to get the customer? What can we do with the customer? Does it make sense? Is it profitable for us? That's sort of the concept of building a budget. But now, when we're done with this, we know that we are doing 2 ads. We're spending money on LinkedIn and Facebook. We need to spend $1,000. Our target goal is to get a total revenue of, well, in this case, it's total revenue of $15,000 here. So this number has to be 15 then, I guess. So it goes up a little bit. So you have to make sure the numbers are going to work better for you. So this will be $14.99, I guess, here then, right? And then that probably would be $14.99 as well. So you have a little more to spend based upon your KPIs and your goals. So what you're trying to do is just put everything down on paper so you can start planning the next steps. Now, the next steps of this are, okay, let's get our content created. Let's get our keywords chosen out. Let's get our make sure our website is optimized as well. Let's take a look at building ads and creating videos and doing all these things that will help us with the digital marketing campaigns. And that's sort of the strategy. But this is where it all starts right here. You have to have a foundation of how to go to market. In the next sessions, what we'll do is we'll take a good look at separating each part of this. We'll look more at the budget and the numbers. We'll look more at the creation of the content. We'll look more at the creation of the ads. Then, of course, we'll look at the analyzing the ads and analyzing the numbers and making sure that we're getting a return on investment and taking a look at our goals and then adapting them as we go along. And that's sort of the next part of this whole process. Any questions on building this out? Now, I'll go back in and if you could, if you haven't done so already, and I haven't checked the folder before we started this evening, so I'll check that probably later tonight, first thing in the morning. So if you do have that there, I'll take a look at it and put some comments, but basically you have a good idea now of what it needs to look like. Okay. All right. Any questions on any of this information?
No. I'm taking it all in and I'll rewatch the YouTube because I was trying to take notes. I need to just watch, but yes, it's all very good.
Yeah, just it's a process, right? You're not, one thing to keep this in mind is I'm pretty confident, and I think I'm good at what I do. But there's no magic sauce. I'm not selling you any fairy dust that's gonna turn you from zero to $1 million company. That doesn't really exist. There's best practices. There's things that you have to do, but because it's so unique and individual to a lot of variables, your product, your budget, your social media channels, your fans, your followers, your content. I could just go on and on. There's so many variables that, results are going to vary everywhere you go. The only way we know it's working is if you're generating dollars, and that's how you know whatever you're doing is working. So just see what's working and then repeat it. Rinse and repeat, right? Rinse and repeat. That's a hair term we used to use all the time at Revlon. So that's everything. Any other questions? All right. Well, it's just about quitting time right now. I'll take a look at your information, and then I guess the next session, you guys are looking at the week 3 and 4 now, right? Module 3 and 4 is up next?
Correct. Currently we're on 3, and then we should be getting 4 before we meet again.
Okay, perfect. So we'll start covering that content, and the way this will work, just so you know, is we'll talk about the content, and then we'll start doing some hands-on application. So it sort of be split that way. This way you get some foundational knowledge from the content, and then we'll get some hands-on work on the assignments and stuff like that.
Okay, wonderful.
All right, wonderful. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining, and I guess I'll see you next week. All right, enjoy.
Sounds good. Thank you, Professor Ken. Have a good night.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.